Good day everyone, my name is Lisa Soriano and our topic for today is the plethora of governance theory and models. The plethora of governance theories and models, we think it is evident that the term governance is still far from mature in the domain of public administration. During the last three decades, it has been undergoing debate as a theory and practice among the scholars, practitioners, and especially with the framework of international aid agencies, and this is because of the concepts dynamic culture band and time related nature. To find out, echoing Joseph 1995 argumentation that the academic literature of governance is very diverse and incoherent. As a result, it is theoretical roots and values such as institutional economic, international relations, organizational studies, developed studies, political science, public administration, and Foucauldian inspired theories. In this section, we highlight the conceptual insight with regard to governance as a model from four perspectives that of Stoker 1998, Mitzberg 1996, Peters 2001, and Heidi 2001. Analyzing and criticizing the role of traditional public administration. Stoker 1998 discussed the theory of governments under the five board propositions, which are complementary rather than contradictory. These five propositions are: number one, governance refers to a set of institutions and actors that occupy government bodies, and beyond that is they are also from the private and the third sector. Number two, governance identifies the burning of boundaries and responsibilities for tackling social and economic issues. Number three, governance identifies the power of independence involved in the relationship between the institution involved collective actions. Number four, governance is about the autonomous self-governing network of factors. Number five, governance recognizes the capacity to get things done which does not rest within the power of government to command or use its authority. Stoker even further argues that each proposition has associated with a certain dilemma or critical issues.
So they are: number one, there is a disparity between the complex reality of decision making associated with governance and normative codes used to explain and justify government. Number two, the blurring of responsibilities can lead to blame the avoidance of scapegoating. Number three, power dependence exacerbates the problem of the unintended consequences for government. Number four, the emergence of self-governing networks raises difficulties over accountability. And lastly, even where government operates in a flexible way to steer collective action, governance failure may occur. Negotiations provide a broader canvas to changing world of government and emphasize on power decentralization as well as on local self-government and involvement of all sectors in the governance process. Henry Mintzberg, one of the leading management scholars of the last century, has asked a very appropriate question. If we acknowledge the blurry conceptual starting point of governance, then we might ask, in order to shed light to this conceptual confusion by asking, how should governance be managed and led? In order to give answer to the question, Ms. critically discusses five models. They are as follows: the government as machine model, the government as network model, the performance control model, the virtual government model, and finally the normative control model. So here's what the five model. Number 1, the government as machine model. According to this model, government is viewed as a machine dominated by rules, regulations, and standards of all kinds. Although this model gained popularity earlier in century, it lacked flexibility and responsiveness to individual initiatives. Number 2, the government as network model. This model is contrary from the earlier one. This model suggests government as an intertwined system, a complex network of temporary relationships fashioned to work out problems as they arise and linked by informal channels of communications. It intends to connect, communicate, and collaborate. However, this model is also holographic in that the parts function like the whole. Individual projects function within a web of interrelated projects. And let's go on to number 3, the performance control model. According to this model, government is more like business. This model assumes that the overall organization consists of business units which are assigned performance targets for which their managers are held accountable. On the other hand, performance model decentralized in order to centralize. It loosens up to order to tighten up. This comes at the expense of flexibility, creativity, and individual initiative. Number 4, the virtual government model. In order to overcome the limitations of machine model and provide better services to the people, virtual government model intends to privatize, contract, and negotiate. According to this model, the microstructures would no longer exist within government, rather all that kind of work would take place in the private sector.
Peter's model of governance have paved the way for viewing governance from border perspective. For instance, Farmland has claimed that although each Peters model has significant structural, managerial, policies, and public interest implications distinct from others, it overlaps on many features. The normative control model. Compared to other models, this model is more values and norms oriented rather than structured and systems. The market model, according to which the private sector can provide better services than the traditional public sector. The participatory state model, which is different from the market model as it puts more emphasis on greater individual and collective participation by segment of government organization that have been commonly excluded from decision-making. The flexible government model, according to which the government should be contextual and flexible in order to face environmental challenges and changes, and to meet people's demand. Appropriate and suitable policies should be made by government. The deregulated government model, which focuses on less bureaucratical control, more managerial freedom, and recommendation based on societal needs and collective decision making. This model have 5 important elements such as selection. People are chosen by values and attitudes rather than just credentials. Socialization. This element ensure a membership dedicated to an integrated social system. Guidance. Guidance is by accepted principle rather than by imposed plans, by vision rather than by targets. Responsibility. All members share responsibility. They feel trusted and supported by leaders who practice a crop style of management that is rooted in experience. Judgment. Performance is judged by experienced people, including recipients of the service, some of whom sit on representative oversight boards.
Our third governance model example is provided by Peters, who has presented a far-renowned model of governance in his scholarly book, The Future of Governing.